All right, get together here now. Call the Wisconsin Rapids Waterworks and Line Commission to order. And as it's just pointed out, we have a new commissioner here today, John Harper, and John was a former commissioner in the past, and he did a wonderful job, and I think we can expect John to do a wonderful job again.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity.
And it's good to see you back, John.
Yeah, fantastic.
All right. Number 2, approval, additions or corrections to the minutes of the following meeting. A regular commission meeting held on January 10th, 2018.
Motion to approve that?
Okay, Rick made the motion.
I'll second that.
Joe second. Any other discussion? Okay, all in approval, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay. A special commission meeting held January 22nd, 2018.
I move for approval.
Okay, John made the motion.
I'll second that.
Rick second. Any discussion? Not all in agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays? All right, special commission meeting held February 9th, 2018.
Motion to approve those?
Okay, I believe Rick made the motion.
I'll second it.
Joe second. Any other comments, discussion? If not, all in agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays? All right, action items. Request to attend AWWA National Conference.
Who's now with us today?
Is Jeff and Todd planning on going this year?
Dale,
Dale?
and well, Todd had his request for APPA a month or two ago already.
Yeah, so I'm going to New Orleans to the APA.
He's also requesting in this meeting to attend APPA.
Okay.
I'd recommend that we approve Dale's attendance for AWWA.
Okay, John made a motion to approve the AWWA attendance for Dale.
I'll second it.
Joe second. Any other discussion? If not, all in agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays? All right, next request, to attend the APPA National Conference. I think that's for Jeff.
Yeah, that one would be for me.
So is it the same one that Todd's going to?
Todd's going to, correct.
Is it a benefit or is that a detraction?
Could be a little both.
Twice as much information.
Yeah.
I would recommend approval of the expenditure for Jeff's attendance at APPA.
All right,
I'll second that motion.
John made the motion, and John Harper seconded.
Rerun second.
Is there any other discussion? Any questions? If not, all in agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Are there any nays? Okay.
Along those lines, by the end of the week, I'll have Roxanne send out the tentative agendas that they have set up and the dates for both conferences to see if there's any commission interest in attending either one of them. AWWA's in Vegas this year and APPA's down in New Orleans. So we'll send that out and see if there's any interest. Anybody can make it, it'd be good.
All right, next order of business, 3.3, New West Wisconsin Rapids Substation Transformer.
Yeah, I guess I'd talk a little about that before you guys decide on what you'd like to go forward with. So last Wednesday at about 2:45, we had a power outage on the west side of the city. When we got out to the substation, what we found is one of the two transformers, we have that redundancy there, Unfortunately, it was the newer of the two, one that was only 10 years old and installed about a month before I started. But that transformer failed. We were able to isolate it, and we were able to restore power very quickly for that type of catastrophe. Within 30 minutes, I think we had most people back on. But the problem is that we basically lost that transformer. So we had Energis and then also Dave Krause from Krause Power Engineering come on Thursday, and we pulled the top bushings out of the transformer, and what we found was on the high voltage side, the bottom part of the bushing failed. When that fails, it blows up kind of like a grenade, and it puts shrapnel in the entire transformer windings, very sharp material. What's going to happen if you try to put that back in service is that the 60 hertz vibration of the transformer would work that shrapnel into the windings and cut all the insulation that's in there, and you would have another catastrophic failure probably within a month or so. Yes, Tom?
What is that bushing made out of?
So the part that blew up is porcelain.
Porcelain. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the part I'm talking about. That's the shrapnel, and we have pictures and reports on it if anybody wants to see any of that. But Energis and Dave Krause both recommend that the transformer be taken out of service completely, and if you're going to reuse that transformer, it needs to have an entire rewind. So they would have to cut the top of the tank off, drain the oil, pull the windings out, build new windings, fill it back with oil, and then put the top back on. So that's really would have to happen for that unit to go back in service and be reliable. So Dave Krause and I both have a lot of connections in the industry. We've both been doing this for 28 years. So we went ahead and started making phone calls, and Virginia Transformer, which is the manufacturer of the transformer that failed, the warranty is out of the transformer, but a transformer should last between 20 and 50 years. So they want to make good on what happened. They feel very bad about it. And so because they manufactured this unit and they know exactly, what we want with some slight changes in the spec, because we want to change some of the things that were spec'd out wrong 10 years ago, they were able to turn around and give us a complete bid package right away within 2 days. And they came back with a price of $495,000. Probably that's what's more attractive than anything, is that they have an emergency slot in their manufacturing process that they're willing to give us. And this unit that would typically take 50 weeks to make, they can do it in 16 weeks. And so if we were to give them a purchase order by early next week, we could have that unit by the middle of June, and we could have it installed probably 2 weeks after that. So before the real summer loads of July and August and September hit, and before the majority of the storms hit, we would have our redundancy back at the West Sub. One of the concerns that we had is they have a manufacturing plant in Roanoke, Virginia, and then one in Mexico. The Mexico plant, at least in the past, has had questionable quality issues, and they've assured us that those are done, but they also assured us just yesterday that they're going to make the transformer at Roanoke, not at Mexico, just because of the concerns that we had. So they're basically going out of their way to try to help us, even though on the other flip of the coin you could say, well, their transformer that was only 10 years old failed. Both Dave and I feel this is a very good deal by them, and that it, for me, makes me able to sleep at night knowing that we'd have a new unit back in June. So that's kind of the whole gist of it, but I kind of gave you a sheet of paper with more options on it, and I wanted to just talk about those so you guys have that to make your decisions on. So, option one, obviously, which I don't really consider an option, but it's out there, is that you don't do nothing. And
That's not an option.
okay, so, all right.
That's no redundancy.
Basically, if we lose a transformer, we lost the west side then for,
Yeah.
since this has happened, we've also had Todd checking to make sure we could get our hands on a spare if one of them should go in the meantime before we get it back in service in June or whenever it is. And he was able to do that, so at least we have one, we know where it's at, we can go get it and get it in place, but it's still not the same as just being able to switch and get everybody back up and running. So in my opinion, it's not really an option.
That option isn't an option, but I like to bring it up to just talk about it so that people realize that we, wouldn't have to spend any money, but then you're going to have some kind of a reliability issue in the future. It's just a matter of when.
This 1989 transformer that's in place,
Yep.
is that a rebuilt one, or that's been
No,
there since 89?
It's been there since '89, but we have rebuilt the load tap changer inside the unit since then. After so many operations, that's a recommended, just like service on your car kind of thing. And so the transformer oil tests all come out fine, and the load tap changer's been rebuilt like 2 years ago. So it's a solid unit, so we should be okay for now. So that's that. So the second option that I put on there is, at the Gainer sub over the last 3 years, we've actually sent the units to this Jordan transformer, and they did what I had said earlier, where they cut the top off, take out the windings, put in new windings. You basically have a brand new transformer with the shell of the transformer you gave them. It cuts your costs, and they can do that for about $300,000. Versus the new one from Virginia Transformer at $495,000. The problem that we have, and Dave and I have called pretty much everybody, is right now manufacturing is full at all the plants. So nobody is actually hurting for business at the moment. So Jordan Transformer, they said the earliest turnaround they could give us is 30 weeks. So that puts us at the end of September. And what I would like to, recommend if we go with the one option that I would like is we take this unit that failed and we still have them do that, but we wait till the 2019 budget. So we put $300,000 in 2019, and we have this unit rebuilt, and now we have a unit that can basically fit into any slot of all 5 of our substations because it has the low tap changer built on it. So that's what I'm hoping to do if we go with the recommendation, and that is to allow Virginia Transformer to supply us a new unit for the $495,000. And let me say that the $495,000 for the transformer, I put in $500,000 in the budget. That's your top end, because looking over their spec, there are some things that we're going to change, and that should cut the cost. So if you approve the $595,000, that's worst case. We're probably going to come underneath that by about $50,000 when we're all said and done. The problem that, I think, especially John, you usually like to have, bids from multiple places, make sure that we're really getting a good deal. I understand all that. I think what we're going to run into is the pickle of, do we want to wait a year to have a transformer? Because this slot that Virginia Transformer is holding is going to be gone if we don't act on it. And so if we go through the process of actually going out for bids, you're looking at about a month for the bids to come back, probably another few weeks to sign contracts, get a purchase order out. And like I said, from calling the manufacturers, we called Waukesha, we talked to Jordan, all them. Everybody's saying that you're looking at 50 weeks probably for a unit.
And there's no reason to believe that there's a better price if we get competitive quotes?
In my opinion, there is no reason to believe that, because we also reached out to Waukesha, which would be the other company that I would feel very secure at purchasing a unit from. And now Virginia was able to give us a solid quote because they had built something very similar in the past. Waukesha said, we'll give you just a verbal dollar number. We're not going to be held to it. And when you think about that, they're going to give you their lowest number possible because they're going to want you to be interested. And they came back this morning and said $560,000. I don't believe they'd make it for that. So I think once you got the actual quote out there, they would come back and you would be much higher than that. So yeah, I don't feel that we're going to gain anything by going out for competitive bids on this transformer.
And I guess the other piece of this, Jeff, you want to?
Yeah, I have been working with our insurance company. We do carry equipment breakdown coverage. At this point, nothing's been decided yet, but I'm cautiously optimistic that that's going to cover this piece of equipment. They're going to be on site Monday with one of their electrical engineers just to check it out, make sure that it didn't fail because of age, that it was actually, going to fall under the terms of the policy. So then a lot of this cost would be covered under insurance.
And the warranty on this Virginia transformer would be,
Typical warranty is 5 years when you have that right in the quote.
and that's the case.
I'll confirm that, John, and make sure that that's what they give us and let you know.
Is that a typical quote with all the transformer manufacturers?
You got to ask for it ahead of time, and that can add to the cost. All transformers will give you a 1-year warranty. If you want additional years, you're going to pay a premium for that. So if that's something that we want the 5, they'll probably say, well, that'll cost you this amount more, something like that.
But the number you put together would still be applicable, right?
Right. The failure of this bushing, you could really point it towards the spec that was written by the previous people prior to me starting. The high voltage bushing is an inferior product, and that's what failed. So I think if you get away from that, you're not going to see this again. So.
Why is it an inferior product? Because it's porcelain?
It's just like anything, Tom, not porcelain, it's the design of the bushing itself.
Okay.
So the higher quality bushings, what they call condense or breathe. So they have an oil interior that can release or pressure or gain pressure as the unit heats up or not heats up. This doesn't fall into that category, so it's just a cheaper made product. And it's like everything, if you don't write the spec correctly, these manufacturers are going to say, oh, well, I can maybe win this bid by giving you this cheaper end item on the front end. And I think that's kind of what happened here. So it's a very competitive market. Everybody wants the business typically, and so low bid typically wins. So
This 495 though, will have to have, then what I'm hearing is the possible upgrade to 5 years and the possible spec change for that bushing.
yeah, so it probably will be a wash if we had asked for that additional years of warranty. Yep, and like I said, I can give you guys, keep you in the loop as to what they're coming back with, and then you can make that decision. But I think if you give us the approval for the 595, we can at least get the ball rolling so that we don't lose that emergency time slot for the manufacturing.
And then whatever we get back from insurance, I don't know the accounting speak, we get back some of that out of capital, then if we get reimbursed, right?
Yeah, we'll be reimbursed that amount, so it'll be good.
The amount will be reimbursed would be the 495.
That's part of the discussions I've been having with them. I mean, they want to know the full cost to install it and all of that, so I'm assuming all that's going to be covered. I was trying to read through the policy, and there's a lot of, terms and conditions to that. So, and we did get bumped out to one of their higher claims people just because of the value of the property. So I was in contact a few times with them this week, and like I said, their engineer will be on site on Monday to evaluate it. So they should know more in a couple weeks.
Is there a depreciation value though that probably comes?
I think it's going to be replacement value is what they're looking at.
Yeah, well, that's usually what transformers are.
Todd, I appreciate your response and your analysis and your laying out the options. So,
What is our capital budget? Is it 2 million
2.9.
Right about 2.9 with that change we had last
without
month.
this transformer?
Correct.
And last year, we had like about $1 million and it went to 2 million.
We had about 1.8 and we went to just over 3 million last year, right?
If we have to go with this transformer, can we not back out of the, our capital budget? If this is all taken care of by insurance, it's fine, but to come again with another $600,000, added, that seems a little excessive.
Equipment breaks.
Yeah, well, we ordered a truck 2 years ago and, it came 2 years later and it was supposed to be in that 1 year. And, can you take another look at your budget and see what we can kick out of it?
That's a discussion we can have. A lot of it is built upon the labor and the percentage of labor split between operational and capital. So taking projects out is going to, affect one side or the other. It's going to be more operational expense and trimming trees versus doing capital upgrade projects for reliability. So that's something that can be looked at.
Yeah, hopefully, usually these things do get covered by insurance, but it's kind of a hit to the budget to throw another $600,000 in unexpectedly.
Well, if you'd like us to live with no redundancy out there, we can.
No, I can't believe we don't have redundancy now.
We did.
Well, we did, otherwise you'd have people out of power.
Well, even so 30 weeks, you expect that there's going to be a problem within like 30 weeks or?
I hope not, but we didn't expect a 10-year-old can to blow up either.
Yeah, and when you lay out this design of the sub, Tom, you always have 2 transformers in parallel, both sides to take on the load of one, or if one fails. And that's what we basically had in place. So, yeah.
And
This
we have-
transformer will fit other applications in
Yeah,
our
so
system?
it could go into the 2 slots at Gaynor sub, the 2 slots at the high school sub, the 1 slot at the Baker sub, or the other slot at the West sub. So it's, like I said, it'll be a nice unit to have available for us in the future. In my 5-year outlook, I had planned to buy or rebuild something anyway to have. So in the long run, we're just upping it a couple of years from what I was thinking.
And nothing comes to mind that you could compromise on in your budget?
Well, I think that would be another discussion at some point, whereas today you could approve this and then we could come back in another month and we could reevaluate and decide what projects, could be changed. Right now we got projects where we're rebuilding the Mariani line for reliability. That's an important one. We're trying to redo the west side. So, it's definitely something we can look at and see where we're at.
And really, the issue is, did they give a timing in terms of the insurance company on when? I know the engineer coming out and stuff, but what's the time frame on when they would?
They haven't given me a timeline
Okay.
at this point, but we do have probably over $5.5 million in depreciation funds with electric. So the money is there to cover it. It's just if you want to spend it for this situation or not.
But the real issue is the net, right? So if insurance covers everything, then it's not an issue. If it doesn't cover it, then it's.
That's why I thought I'd bring this up.
Yeah, I
I think
think
we're missing a lot of budget.
Yeah, I think it's too early to make those kind of decisions right now as far as trying to cut projects out of the budget. I think-
I just wanted to bring it up, Todd.
Yeah.
But, if I feel pretty confident that there's going to be some kind of insurance claim. And-
Okay.
Yeah, which we didn't expect,
Well-
because it was 10-year-old.
I've had two-
I will move that we approve the $595,000 for the new transformer, assuming that the specification is altered, that the 5-year warranty was included, and that we reassess the 2018 budget if the insurance does not cover the cost of this transformer and its installation.
You get all that, Roxanne?
Yes, I do.
I'll second that.
Okay, Rick, second. Is there any other discussion, any thoughts? If not, all in agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
All not in agreement, say nay.
Who was my second? That's the only thing I missed. Awesome, thank you.
Okay, I guess the motion passed. I don't, well, you don't, it's all you guys. I'm just trying to save you some of the problems.
We're gonna have to start putting contingencies in
That's a big contingency.
Yeah, well, you can't see failures.
I know. Yeah, and I know one thing, Jordan Transformer, that's their, they usually have a pretty lengthy lead time on their rebuilds. Everybody goes there, it seems, in the area.
Hey, John, just so you know, the Virginia quote has a 5-year warranty. So they threw it in.
Okay. So we're covered on that piece.
Yep, that's done.
Good. Well, I appreciate your analysis. Well done.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you, Todd.
Yep.
Okay, department updates. Safety committee.
I was wondering what is included in the CPR refresher training? What's the scope of that?
Just CPR and first aid that we have to do annually,
Okay.
or every other year, I guess, whatever it is. Yeah, it's just the normal, it used to be the Red Cross, but it's something different now.
Who does that? Who's the contract on that?
Sean Wall, our safety guy.
Oh, he does it himself, okay.
Yep.
Anybody have anything else? If not, line superintendent's report.
All the vehicle accidents, was that?
That's 6 already this month, too.
Is it? Okay,
What?
not,
That
the
probably
ice
last
storm,
night.
and stuff, but I don't know,
Yeah,
they were calling
yesterday.
January.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just weather, I guess. People aren't driving like they should.
I think the cell phones have something to do with that, too.
Yeah.
Take your eyes off the road for a second. In this weather, you're in the ditch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got an ice storm right now, it's terrible.
Yeah, luckily it has been all traffic signals, so I haven't had too many outages because of it.
Anything else? If not, water department operations?
Is that, I'm assuming that's a water out on Grand?
Yeah, so what that is, that's a private service owned by Solaris. It's being replaced. There was a leak detected right near the foundation that was flowing into the basement. And so they hired a private plumbing company to come in there and repair that.
Okay.
And we're working with them so they can tie into our connection at the property line.
Okay.
And I see 7 frozen services.
Yes.
Has there had been any this year, or this month, I should say?
There has been approximately 4 this month as well. We're up from the last couple of years. Compared to 2013-14, we had, I believe, 300 frozen services. The frost depth is running anywhere from 36 to 48 inches, so those services that come up from the roadway, usually about 6 feet down, they'll creep up to that 4-foot range, and you'll end up having frozen services, especially if usage is down. There's no water going through that service, you're going to run into the issues.
And just from a procedural standpoint, because I'm going back to when we had that really high spike, there was some advisory put out, right? Or something, it wasn't on like the west side or something to run water?
Yeah, the running water ordinances we'll put into place if we have constant freeze-ups in a certain area.
And is that, what triggers that? Is it just a number, once the number gets real excessive, or the type of?
Yes, we'll go back on history reports as well, and we'll look at locations that have had it. We actually contracted out in 2014 to lower services that had that issue. And so we hired a company to come and lower all the services that were continuously freezing up over a 5-year span. And so we still do have random ones. The last 2 years, I don't think we had a single freeze up.
Thank you.
Anything else? If not, the office manager report?
Joel's retired already, or?
No, I don't know why he's out today. We have to send doctors. Oh,
Oh, okay.
not yet. We should know the timing by next week sometime.
Okay.
He's warning us that the next guy can't do any better on his receivables.
Right. We'll tell his replacement, whoever that might be. And it was official. We did lose that alignment this morning to Alliant.
Oh,
Really?
okay.
Yeah. Thought about it long and hard before we made his decision. But I think it was all mainly because of advancement, but
Josh, you're just too young. Work on that, would you?
It comes easy, believe me.
All right, Director of Finance report? Would you say the big miss on the industrial power is Northern Steel?
That was the majority of that difference, right?
And that hit both of those categories?
It hit the industrial power, the industrial water. Our big decrease was more with Verso, New Page area, and we've had several discussions with them and trying to figure out why. And I don't think we still have the right answer or the right person giving us the answer, so we're still trying to figure out, exactly what's going on over there. But, when we did the budgeting this year, we're basically basing it on where we ended this year to have a better feel. If this is their new norm, then we're better in line with their usage.
They really haven't curtailed any operation that I'm aware of that would affect the,
So, yeah, and, I know we've had these discussions. I don't know if they're just diverting more of their process water that they have to systems where they would be using our water for previously. So have not gotten that answer directly from anybody over there yet.
and we're confident that our metering is,
We did replace the meter that was at the at Verso, and I think they've tested some of those too last year just to make sure, because we were questioning them quite a bit early on in 17 when we saw these decreases. So fairly confident in those meters.
Great to see a number of investments over 2% now.
Definitely.
Anything else? If not, Information Systems Administrator?
do we use a VPN,
Yes, we have that capability.
have the capability, and we use it, or we have the capability?
Vendors are the only ones that have the need to use it. We don't have anybody that works from home or anything like that. The only thing most people do when they're outside of the office is check their email, and that's all secured anyways, without the use of VPN, so it's just not necessary.
But the vendors are required.
Required, yes, it's a requirement.
And it looks like you might have a choice for the cybersecurity.
Yeah, I'm gonna have at least 3, if not more, companies coming in and doing bids on the cybersecurity stuff, so we're gonna have quite a few choices. I'm sure they'll have slightly different methodology, so may not be apples to apples, but it'll be pretty close.
Anything else? If not, the conservation manager report.
So interesting query on this Woodlands Business Center. Is that coming to fruition?
Still in the making. I haven't received any confirmation that they are yet. I just know in the last month we've had quite a bit of communication just to try to determine what their electric costs would be.
Have you referred this all to Rick Bacoka? You know, there are other incentives available to lure business to this community, and that's what Rick is all about. And
Okay.
it would be good if we would link Rick up with this person.
I will do that.
There may be WEDC funds or whatever available to incentivize them.
Thanks for the information.
Where's the Woodlands Business Center?
It'd be right over here by the Marshfield Clinic.
Okay.
Kind of old dental office that used to be open right there.
Okay.
Yeah, Midwest Dental used to be in that
Okay.
building. In
That
fact,
one?
they
Okay.
leased it from this Rapids Water LLC,
Oh, okay.
who is looking at this investment in the data mining.
Do we feel that there's anybody that can beat our power cost?
We are in the bottom third in the state. Mark did the reliability aspect of it. As we could tell from Todd's report, and now we're at RP3 being 1 of 6 in the state. I think with this business, that means quite a bit, and that's what I tried to stress with him.
That means more than quite a bit.
Yeah.
That's their lifeblood, yeah.
I just saw something recently about a group of people that put a mining unit in, and they put it right on a hydroelectric dam in either Oregon or Washington. And it was almost right on top of the dam. They wanted to, power, like you said, reliable and as close as they would possibly could get to the source. Of course, there's a gigantic, I think thousands of servers in it.
Yeah, that's what all these things are. I mean, for us, it's great because there's aircon load and there's server load.
24/7.
Yeah,
Running all the time.
and it's also good for them to be in this kind of climate. This cold weather, basically, they can run on an economizer without too much aircon load.
Open the doors and let them run.
They usually put in a little more sophisticated system.
Works in a pinch, though.
You sound like you're talking from experience.
Might be, yeah.
Seems like I remember that discussion, actually. Okay.
Anything else, Sean? If not, the Director of Engineering and Electrical Operations report.
Looks like you got an award there.
I do, so throw that on the camera. So we received from APPA the Diamond Award for reliability. First time we've received the Diamond Award before. We've had 2 golds and 1 platinum, but the Diamond is the highest award in that category. You have to score 98, 99, or 100 out of 100 points, and we scored 98 and a half. So we made it, and I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah.
You make sure that this outfit knows that.
I made him aware, actually, of our last one, so.
Okay.
If that's it, the general manager's report. Well, Jim, what do you think? Could you comment a little bit on the APBA Joint Action Agency Conference? Anything interesting come out of that?
There were a couple good speakers on basically cyber readiness and managing power supply and declining usage, which has been the topic of concern across the industry, not only here but elsewhere. So as far as things strategically you can do with load and efficiency and stuff like that. So it was pretty good.
So all those low watt light bulbs are doing the trick.
Yes, they are. But all in all, they still say that's a better process than not, because you're improving the efficiencies and the cost structure of your customers. So ultimately, that'll help the system. So we'll see.
And it's not just electricity. There was an article in the Wall Street Journal today about how they're predicting, I think it's 2035, when worldwide, that's when the actual oil consumption will start declining. You know, it's still growing in India and China and everything else, but by 2035, it's actually going to start declining. So all the oil producing countries are looking at that.
And probably the most interesting thing, I guess, on my report is the fact that Glue is potentially looking at investing in Hometown Connections or buying a portion of that. Hometown Connections is now owned by the American Public Power Association, but a group of larger joint action agencies in the country, power suppliers basically to munis, went to APPA and offered to purchase Hometown Connections. They're basically the product arm and consultant arm of APPA. They work with members on any multitude of issues, from metering and strategic planning to you name it. But the joint action agencies felt they could basically better market Hometown Connections to their members because they're closer to their members than APPA is. So there are a group of them that are going to buy Hometown Connections from APPA, and Glue may participate in that. So they would basically be a 1/5 or 1/6 owner of Hometown Connections. It's a pretty minor investment for Glue. We're talking about $200,000, maybe $250,000, so it wouldn't be a whole lot of money.
Half a transformer.
Depending on the size, yeah.
So this is nice. I didn't, was this in?
That was in the live, MEW live lines.
Okay.
With that email newsletter they send out now.
Okay, I missed that. Nice.
And Sean helped us put that together. Our safety guy, who's not here today as well.
And I missed this, what's that?
Those are our 3 apprentices. They actually graduated earlier in the year, but they made it official. They got their certificates.
Okay.
That's a meter technician and 2 of our new journeymen.
And then the fire, what is that?
That's what happens when a 13.2 kV line hits the ground.
Okay.
So January 1st?
January 1st, yeah.
Okay.
Celebrating the new year, huh?
Yeah. Good thing everybody was still asleep.
You notice the light's still on that house in the back now.
Or is that a reflection of that flame?
It could be that too, it's hard to say.
If that's it, review of accounts payable.
Monthly banking fees.
Is that with Wood Trust?
Yep.
That's our monthly fees we pay to bank there. I have talked to them on more than one occasion about potentially reducing those, and to date have not had any success, so.
I would say keep talking with all the money that we have there.
Well, it's less now, which is a good thing.
Yeah.
Without looking at how much are the monthly banking fees?
I mean, they run between $1,300 and $1,600 a month on a typical month. So.
Hey, just like paper, they gotta make money too.
Yeah, it's just a question of how much.
But with $1 million of free money in the bank, almost free money.
Yeah, that's right. As close as you can get.
Yeah. So, okay. Kind of sticks in the craw.
Anything else? Anybody have anything? Okay, would somebody like to make a motion to adjourn? I'll second it. Okay, we have a motion and a second. Rick made the motion. Joe seconded. All in agreement, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.